Great. Thank you for having me.
You're not still living in like an extended stay America, right? We got a house now? Or
no,
what?
We're in the house.
All right, good.
Lots of space.
That gave me anxiety thinking about that situation with all of your kids trying to be the head coach of the Jets, slammed into a hotel room. When I read about that stuff, I was like, how do you do it? What happened?
I've got a wife that's already got a spot in heaven. So she's...
Seriously. Right. I think they all do, the moms that have to deal with that type of stuff. Second year, everybody we've talked to so far, a couple of your defensive players says everybody's, feels like it's different because not everything is new. Jordan Whitehead is new too, but C.J. Mosley said everything seems just so much more smooth. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, it's year 2 of the system. I think the language barrier has been brought down a little bit, but guys, we've got an unbelievable locker room. We do. It's a collection of men that love football, and they show it every single day with the way they come out and practice and prepare.
We remember when Joe Douglas came here, this was one of the things that he did, and it was before you got here, obviously, that he really wanted to remake this team and really wanted to build it with character guys that he could build around, and I think he got most of those guys right. Now, a big question for me is Mekhi Becton.
Yep.
And I worried about his weight. I've talked about his weight. I've been open about it. I've been, criticizing of him, and then he gets hurt again yesterday. And all reports are telling us that it sounds like he's going to be missing the season. Is that accurate?
Still waiting on all the second opinions that he's got to get, but obviously it's not looking good, at least from the initial prognosis. But for Mekhi and any player really, when stuff like this happens, you feel sick because they pour their heart and soul in it. And for Mekhi, since minicamp, he's been here every day. He's been absolutely working his tail off. And for this new injury to happen, this makes everybody in the entire organization sick for him, mainly him, because we know how hard he's been going at it since minicamp, and even during the first couple of weeks here in training camp, the videos of him vomiting, just being on a knee, but he constantly got up, he constantly finished his rep, he worked through all the discomfort that we knew he'd have, and he fought for not only himself and his family, but for his teammates in this organization to try to get himself football ready. And for this to happen just makes everybody sick.
So what is the plan now if you lose him for an extended period of time? I know you had a free agent visit. Dwayne Brown, I believe, was in. So where do you go? With the depth?
Right now for us, we plug along, next man up. I know it's a cliche, but it is what it is. I know Joe's working to see if there's other things that we can do, but we've got our faith in Chuma and McDermott. We drafted Max Mitchell, so we just got to get those guys ready to play and roll.
All right, here's the $50 million question. It's about your quarterback. We all know it's a quarterback-driven league, and I just want to hear from you what your perspective is on Zach and the strides that he has made from where he was last year. Because listen, it's not easy becoming an NFL quarterback, especially in a city like New York. And we've been down this road before with other young quarterbacks. Just wondering, has it finally kicked in where he understands that this is his team?
Yeah, the intangibles, people see obviously practice, the green and white, and they're going to see games, but what people aren't seeing is what we're seeing behind the scenes, the intangible leadership, the demeanor in the meeting room, his questions, the conversations he's having with his coaches, the questions and conversations he has with the other quarterbacks, and just the way he is in the huddle. His decision making is a lot faster. He feels more confident. He's bigger. There was a comment made the other day that he's 10 years older than he was a year ago. And we're really excited about the direction that he's going. Is he where we want him to be or where we think he's going to be? No, but is he a lot further along this year than he was a year ago? We all think so. And I think it's just a matter of time before the rest of the world sees it.
Now, I had the sense last year that you guys felt that he wasn't really ready from some of the stuff that was going on. I mean, he brought in his personal quarterback coach. I remember specifically a press conference that you had after Mike White did what he did, where you're like, you never know. I mean, maybe this is some sort of magical story.
But that's
right. And I was like, wait a second, you drafted this guy number 2 overall. He's got to be your quarterback, right?
No, you're right. I'm big on, I grew up in the Pete Carroll School of Football, where it doesn't. Once you get here, if you earn an opportunity and deserve it, then you get a chance. So that's kind of where that kind of stems from.
That was a wild ride last year, man. It was short, but it was crazy, that Mike White. What were you thinking during that time period when he was playing the way he was that well in those couple of games?
It's for him, you love those stories, right? Where a young man is kind of sitting in the weeds and he's working, and you see him put in the work, and then he gets out in the football field and he has success, and you're like, well, you root for those, because that's what makes this game great, football, because it's easy to tell who the superstars are in basketball and baseball and all that stuff. But in football, they could be the 53rd man on the roster, and next thing you know, they're number one. You know, it's football just has a funny way of revealing superstars. But you know, it was a little bit of a blur, not to lie to you, but it was cool that it was happening.
Yeah, it was a great story. You know, Joe Flacco went in there and had a great game as well, too. So we knew that LaFleur's offense could work.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of having somebody in there really knowing all the intricacies of that offense. And to ask Zach to do that, coming out of BYU of all places, to come to New York and try to figure it all out. You know, I felt like early on in the season, like his feet were one way, the ball was going the other way, it was going into the ground. That meant to me, from playing the position, that he was really struggling reading defenses and things of that nature. But everybody has told me that this offseason was all about him understanding the position, understanding what, you know, he's looking at and how he's communicating with his players.
Yeah, it's you know, we have this philosophy out here. You know, in the offseason, we talk about just one thing. Like, yeah, obviously you've got 10 things you've got to work on, but what's the one thing that we're going to take care of? And for Zach, it's been about eyes and concept, and getting his eyes where he needs to go, eyes before feet, and getting his feet where they need to be. And so those little 5-yard throws are on the money, because accuracy is not his problem. And even though it showed up and kind of reared its ugly head during games, it's really not a problem. It was an easy fix to us, and we feel like he's done a really good job.
Yeah, he's got like an explosive arm. I don't know that people, but when the ball comes off that hand, and it reminds me, especially when he's running around, I don't know, it's probably, I don't want to say he's going to be this guy, but it reminds me of when I first saw Brett Favre. So the first time I saw Brett Favre in the field, we were playing against him, and he came out and started flipping it all over the place and running around like a maniac. You know, and he became one of the greatest quarterbacks of his era. Now, I kind of think there's a little bit of that in Zach. I don't know, he's not crazy like Brett was, but I certainly feel like there's the ability is there, the arm strength is there, the arm talent is there.
Yeah, he has undeniable arm talent, and you'll see it at practice today. The guy can torque his body in every which way possible, and he has these unbelievable arm angles, and when his feet are planted and he lets it rip, I mean, it comes out like a howitzer.
And he's big enough to handle this?
Yeah, you'll see him today. He's become very chunky. I see him in his pads, kind of look like Russell Wilson. You know, he just kind of he's got this new man build to him, so
right.
he's plenty big enough to handle it.
I mean, it is crazy what we expect out of young quarterbacks these days. I mean, there's guys who step right in unexpectedly, like Justin Herbert, and it just works. But there's a lot of guys where it takes some time. But to come from Utah out here with everybody, you know, looking at you, dissecting you, to be such a young kid in your early 20s, and we want you to be great right away. It's just, I mean, it's crazy expectations.
Well, yeah, the anomaly is Herbert and Burrow, and they're the anomaly. It takes time. And one thing I've learned about New York is they don't like to hear the word growth. They want growing.
Yeah.
Like he's already comes out the womb sprinting.
Yeah.
And, you know, so the expectations on that, it's like you put on a Jets logo or a Jets helmet, like that's it. You're Joe Namath. It's done. Mm-hmm. And but the reality is it takes time, especially at the quarterback position, by far the hardest position in all of sports, in my opinion. And you give these guys a chance to grow. You surround them with good talent. You surround them with a good offensive line. You surround them with backs that can tote the rock. You surround them with receivers, and you give them a defense that can get them the ball. And if you build a good team around a young man, then where he doesn't have to carry the team, then you're going to have success. But if he's the guy that you're asking to carry the load, you're going to be in trouble.
So, you know, we expect huge improvement from him. We expect huge improvement from the offense. But really, let's face it, you're a defensive guy. You came from the defensive side of the ball, and your defense struggled last year. So what can we expect from your defense this year?
No, it's going to be better. Obviously, it can't be worse, right? But, you know, we just going through self-scout, there was a 4-game stretch last year where we played New England, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Buffalo. That 4-game stretch was probably the worst 4-game stretch that I've seen in a while. And statistically, from a statistical standpoint, we could not recover and get ourselves out of the basement. But I think we've got a really cool collection of D linemen. Our linebackers, led by CJ, it's a very smart, fast group. And then, you know, adding all those guys to the secondary, it's going to be much improved. the story is going to be how quickly can this group gel, because there's a lot of new faces back there. There's a lot of new faces on the D line, and adding Quan to the linebacker room. So there's a lot of new faces, and how can we get that group to gel and play as fast as possible?
What can you expect from Quan? That's really, I mean, I know you know him, you have history with him and everything else. There's been issues, and I think he's trying to restart his career. What's the realistic expectations for him?
You know, for him, my expectation for him is to come in with that same juice and energy that he's known for. I mean, the guy is an unbelievable teammate and leader. Take care of your body every day. That's one thing when you're young. You just don't know how to take care of your body. And for Quan, it just led to a lot of injuries that could have been prevented if you just take care of your body. And I think when he went back to New Orleans and being with that veteran linebacking crew, talking to him, he feels like he's figured it out and he's grinding. So be available, show up every day, and I think the rest will take care of itself.
Talked about growth for Zach Wilson, some of the young players, but there's also growth for you, I'm assuming, going from your first year to your second year. When you look back at your first year as a head coach, was there like a oh bleep moment for you where you're like, what is going on? What am I doing? What did I get myself into? Type of deal?
Well, being in this market, yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, right.
No, it never gets overwhelming. What the difference in when you're a position coach, like 75% of your life is players. Like you are invested in that. You're dealing with coaches, but 75% is with players. Then you become a coordinator, and it's more 50-50. And now you're a head coach, and it's like 5% dealing with players. You're dealing with coaches. You're dealing with administrative stuff, and the administrative stuff is like 75% of what you do. But you're so trying to balance that to try to get it to a 50-50 aspect, so you can put it in parts of your day where you can have blocks of time to focus on football, which is what you feel like the reason why you got here in the first place. But so being able to understand how all that works, dealing with the media guys and all that, and trying to organize that the proper way so I can be more football oriented.
Talking to Rob Saleh, head coach of the New York Jets. Yesterday I put Brian Daboll on the spot and I asked him about what happened in the Kansas City Buffalo game and how Kansas City scored with 13 seconds left to go in regulation to tie the game, to put it into overtime. As a coach, when you watch a game like that, you watch an ending like that, do you take anything out of that? What do you learn from something like that, that obviously a guy like Patrick Mahomes can get his team down into scoring position within 13 seconds?
It's not for them, but it's a beautiful thing to watch. When so I've said this before. I'm going to go quick with this one, but football is three phases. There's three parts to a football game. The first quarter and second quarter, that first half is scheme. Coaches and their play calling, players listening to each other's checks. How are you playing me? How am I playing you? And then we get to halftime, and everyone's making their adjustments. Play callers are making their adjustments. Players are making their personal adjustments on how they're being played. And we take those adjustments and we go out to the third quarter. That's the second phase. And then the fourth quarter happens, and everything's on the table. Yeah, I know all your calls. I've called all my calls. You've called all yours. Players know each other's checks. They know the alignments. They know how they're being played. Like, there are no more secrets, and the superstars take over. And that's why you see all these points, and it's like, what the heck happened? It's been quiet for three quarters, and then there's this explosion of plays in the fourth quarter, and the common denominator are superstars. And so to watch Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes go blow for blow in a fourth quarter when everything's been revealed, I think that's like the epitome of football.
But I'm thinking, as a defensive coach, you got to be like, how do you stop these guys?
You pray.
Well, you play, or you blitz, or you get a tip ball or something like that.
Something like that.
I mean, but it was amazing watching Josh Allen. I think he had about 15 different plays in that last 2 minutes of that game. Both of them did.
It was amazing.
But how about like the kickoff situation? Like, did you learn anything from that? Like, we were sitting in the studio, and it's easy sitting in the studio. We don't have the pressure. I'm like, we can't believe that they kicked off to Kansas City, so the clock never started. So Patrick started with 13 seconds on the 25-yard line, as opposed to maybe 9 seconds or maybe even 8 seconds, like a squib kick or something.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many different scenarios from an analytical standpoint. Obviously, you could squib it, and then who knows? Maybe they go rugby and score. You just never know. You do the best you can. You feel good. You have the number one defense in the world, and at least last year with Buffalo, and you feel like you should be able to win in those situations. And so there's always hindsight's 20/20, but And to be in that moment to speak for McDermott and play that hindsight game would be unfair.
You just know it would be unfair. Real quick, for your kicking competition, how's that going between Zerline and Pinero, right?
Yeah, it's going good. They both look really good. I think Eddie was perfect yesterday, and I think Z missed one. Eddie looked really good in the green and white game too, but they're going blow for blow. It's a good competition. I think they're doing a good job coaching one another up and being good teammates, and it's gonna be fun. We're gonna get some ops and in the preseason. I'm asking the fans, don't get upset if I'm not going for it on 4th down, bringing out the kicking unit because we want to get that settled. So
yeah, he's already getting out front.
Right, I know. He knows. He's been here for a year.
Yes.
We have to let you go and get to work, but I know you're trying to play 1,000 golf courses. So would you come out to West Sayville Public Course on Long Island? Boomer played there. It wasn't so bad.
Oh, it's
right?
great. It's right on the shore. It's perfect.
I mean, you got to get to 1,000, right?
We'll play 36. We'll go there and somewhere else.
Yeah, all right, perfect.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.